Hello and welcome back to another Out of Spec Reviews video. Welcome back to beautiful northern Colorado. Just arrived back from Norway and I want to make some videos about some upgrades that I've done to my Model S Plaid. And these have been necessary upgrades we've talked about from the beginning. So we filmed our, of course, collection video with this car. You saw some of the accident video. You saw that we picked it up. Everything's pretty much back to normal on the car. So then it was time to start the upgrade process. So I want to let you know about the braking system that we've installed on this thing. A real meaty upgrade that's so badly needed. And then we're going to go for a drive and actually see how it works up in the canyons. So let's get into having some fun with the Model S Plaid today. Really looking forward to getting back in this car. It's been a little while since I've driven it. Now, you guys know most of the updates on my personal cars are done on my own channel. It's called the Kyle Connor YouTube channel. And I recently just started posting again to that channel, and you guys are incredible. You got it over 10,000 subscribers in just a few weeks. So I can't thank you enough for watching that channel, even though I told you not to, because there's no consistent posting schedule. And it's just, I don't even get creative with video titles. I just put videos of my own cars on there, what I'm up to, some random things. But thank you so much for watching. So why is this video not on my personal channel, you may ask? Well, I've upgraded some things and I want to actually review the upgrades. Now, this is actually a paid upgrade by me. I paid the money to upgrade the car. So not a sponsored video, but I've just installed the Mountain Pass Performance Big Brake Kit, front and rear. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about why I did that, why I went with that particular kit, and how it's worked out. Thankfully, actually, I've had a chance to exercise it as well, and I'm sure you'll see some clips throughout this video. I took this car to a track day at High Plains Raceway. Now, this isn't meant to be a enthusiast track sports car, but it's a Model S Plaid, and I kind of wanted to see how it would do. And we've, of course, got the 20 by 10 inch Martian wheels, front and rear, with, I think, 295 section Pilot Sport 4S. Yeah, 295s all around. I'm going to talk about the tire setup, talk about the wheel setup. It really changed the character of the car because we went from a staggered setup to a square setup, which I prefer. My kind of driving, I like a loose tail, and this is really a balanced car at this point. It's pretty incredible. But of course, the biggest problem with Model S Plaid, widely known, is the massively undersized brakes that come from the factory. And I'm going to tell you some of the weaknesses, what I think they are, and the fixes that we've done here have really massively improved it. And I want to show you this as well. We're going to go up in the canyons. I haven't ever taken this car on a canyon blast, so we're going to do that. But let's talk about the problem. Model S Plaid, 1,000 horsepower, whatever it is, insanely fast, roughly 2 seconds 0 to 60. And then comes with the worst brakes on the planet. I'm not joking. If you guys remember when I first reviewed the Model S Plaid a year ago, it was actually on this same road that we're going on this car now. I was like, what on earth? First of all, I had major issues with the wheel tire package, the way that the car rotated. It didn't feel great. There was no track mode at the time. Then, of course, track mode became updated. So now I'm able to drive in track mode, which is great. I don't recommend you doing that on the public street. But we're going to run on this wheel and tire package, this big brake kit, and it's, I think, going to be a transformed experience. So Model S Plaid, man, what was Tesla thinking? So they now have a $20,000 carbon ceramic brake upgrade kit. I'm also going to tell you about my opinions there too. But let's talk about what we've actually upgraded here. So upgrades so far consist of rotors, pads, and fluid. That's literally it. So Mountain Pass Performance sells a front big brake kit and a rear big brake kit, and I've done both. I went maximum brake kit upgrades for this car from Mountain Pass. First of all, I really like the guys at Mountain Pass. They're hardcore racers. I know there's other aftermarket companies out there also doing incredible work. This is not anything against them or anyone else. I feel like I like the Mountain Pass upgrade kit for my style of driving. I also say that because even though this is not technically a track car, you can take a look at the pad deposits already on the rotors just after one track day. We're driving this thing. And I mean, you know me, I'm always going to take whatever I have and push it to and beyond its limits. That's what I enjoy about cars, enjoy about motoring. You paid for the speedometer, you should use all the speedometer, you know what I mean? But, you know, we really, the plan is to kind of pound the crap out of this car and use it for what it's intended to do, which is, I think, be a showcase for electric performance, whether it's on a drag strip or actually on a road course. Maybe not with this tire setup with the PS4S, we'd need R compounds for it. And I'll talk about the driving dynamics there. But the biggest, weakest link was the brake. So here's what we upgraded. We went with Mountain Pass front rotors. They actually retain the stock caliper, which is interesting because you would think stock caliper wouldn't, why would you do that? Well, the stock caliper is actually not an issue on the car. It's really their pad compound and their rotor that makes the car stop like crap. Honestly, Tesla could just change a pad compound and make a world of a difference on just its braking performance. So I'm not sure why they're not doing that out of the box, but we spaced the caliper out a little bit. So it's actually a larger diameter front rotor. We spaced the caliper out, so we have more physical braking space, better for cooling. It's also a slotted and vented brake upgrade. I'm not a fan of drilled brakes because of premature cracking over time. And I'm not a fan of carbon ceramic brakes for my use case here, because this isn't like we're just gonna go on back roads and drive around, and carbon ceramics are perfect for a fast back road blast. They have very little brake dust, very little fade, and you know, they honestly last a very long time until you get them really hot. When you start doing track work in a really heavy car like this, you're going to start burning up rotors. We have a lot of views on YouTube. We don't have enough to replace $20,000 rotors every time we go to a track day. So I went with the steel setup, which I'm a big fan of steel brakes. I've owned cars with carbon ceramic brakes before, and I just really get annoyed with them because I burn up the discs really quickly and it gets very expensive. So I like this. We did the same thing in the rear, spaced the caliper out, bigger diameter rotor. The rears are actually probably a bit overkill for street driving, but again, this is to go to track days from time to time. And if we're going to do a brake upgrade, we should do it. The next limitation, pretty much with any car that comes out of the factory, is the brake fluid. So we've put in some high temperature brake fluid as well. That's always a big oversight from some people. We've heard of major crashes because of not upgraded brake fluid. You need proper fluid, and you need to make sure you're checking the brake pedal. Always do a little brake check if you've been on it a little hard, just to make sure the brakes are there. This is a heavy car. You can still get these brakes hot, but it's just so much more thermal longevity than before. There's also some other things I plan to do. I don't think they're on the market yet, but as soon as Mountain Pass Performance sells it, I'm going to upgrade the brake lines, and I've also ordered a brake brace. So those two won't really affect braking performance per se, but they should affect brake pedal feel, which is something I'm really in tune with, and I hate a squishy brake pedal, you know me. So the brake pedal brace is interesting because when you jam on the brake pedal, the booster actually flexes on the firewall, which is crazy to think about. I mean, that just hurts my brain. So this is a physical brace that keeps the booster in line so that every ounce of force I put into the brake pedal isn't flexing the firewall, it's going directly to the calipers, which is what I'm looking for. So that will be installed here in the next few days. And of course, I'll have a video on my personal channel about that, but it won't really affect braking longevity. That's more of a feel thing. So wheels and tires, of course, we're on the Martian wheels. We're on Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tires, not an R compound tire, perfect street tire, nowhere near enough grip on track for the weight of this car. I mean, we are just skidding and skidding around. So initial impressions, of course, when it's on track, the wheel tire braking setup was pretty incredible, but there's still more to do. What I'd love to do is show you a hot lap with my friend Drew, who owns Martian wheels, driving the car. I'd like to show you what the car looks like out for a lap of high plains. It's insanely fast, of course, on the power. It's so impressive. But what's most impressive to me is how big of a difference track mode makes, and how big of a difference taking that stupid staggered setup, in my opinion, is, and running this square setup. Now, of course, when grip levels get higher, you might actually want to consider introducing back a little bit of a staggered setup here, going with a wider rear, especially when you start talking about aero modifications and crazy. But in terms of a street car, the way I like a car to handle, very neutral, like the tail to work quite a bit. I was just so impressed with this thing on track. It's big, it's heavy, it's really soft from a suspension standpoint, but watch and just wait and see how balanced it is and just how fast it is out on track. And of course, the braking performance, we were pounding these things all day and had no issues. Oh my God. It's got no traction. It's a heavy car with not enough tire. Hope you have brakes. Pretty much came to a stop there. Well, now you join me in the Model S after watching a hot lap of the High Plains track. And to be honest, it's pretty impressive what this thing can do going around. It just really is begging for a lot more tire for track work. I mean, it's just like these PS4Ss are right at the limit everywhere with a car this heavy. But for a street tire, you're balancing, of course, road noise, especially in an electric car, longevity of the tire, as well as just general grip for everyday usage in a wider temperature range where these can be used. I don't recommend using these in winter time, but it's 60 degrees Fahrenheit outside. Once we get heat into them, we're fine. Plus, we're not going to be shredding today. I just more or less want to talk about my impressions of the brake upgrade. So we're not going to go into track mode or anything first. We're not even near the twisties. We're at the base of the road. We're just going to cruise over there, and I'm going to share you know, sort of what I think about Model S Plaid since the first time I drove it, because we've had some major improvements here. One of them not being the steering wheel yoke. And I really cannot wait to get rid of this stupid yoke for performance driving. What's actually interesting is on track, the yoke to me and to Drew, who were both like not into the yoke thing, wasn't that big of a deal. Going around track, we're making these small corrections. It's not like we're going out and doing big drifts all day, although you can tell this car wants to do some big skids. So we maybe should do a drifting day with this now in track mode. I haven't seen enough performance driving with Model S Plaid in drifting situations and doing stupid hoonigan stuff. So we definitely have to hoon this around a little bit. Maybe we'll get it out to the track in North Carolina and do some sending action. If you guys would like to see that, let me know. I'd love to just see what the car is capable of from when you drive it past its limits, of course. So just to break down each category in my impression of the car. Powertrain is, bar none, one of the most impressive powertrains I've ever driven. You have amazing long travel throttle, constantly giving you more and more power. Somehow, magically, the harder you hit the pedal, it's crazy. The straight line performance is insane. The thermal longevity of the system is also insane, but you do end up overheating things if you drive it really, really hard, especially with High Plains, with that long straightaway, and then with the regen turned all the way up in track mode, you're getting over 200 kilowatt regen. It just heats up the inverters very quickly. But you don't notice a big thermal drop, or I should say like a power drop. You notice it cutting back, but it doesn't just fall on its face like previous Teslas would. So I'm really impressed that the software guys for the powertrain did, I think, the best they could. And it's one of the most impressive electric car experiences I've ever had on track from a powertrain standpoint. From a steering standpoint, the ratio is a bit long in this car. I actually like it with a round wheel. I reviewed a Model S Plaid with a round wheel and found the ratio to be actually nicer than the Model 3 for daily driving, and that's really going to change my experience with the car, is this round steering wheel. It's really the missing link, I think, and of course I'll produce a whole upgrade video and process on that on my personal channel. I'm just going to pull here because this is typically where I stop to create these videos. So from a steering perspective, the yoke wasn't a big deal on track. It is a big deal for me in daily driving. What I think the best way I can describe the problems with the yoke for me are, there's not infinite hand positions as to where I can grab the wheel. And if you watch me drive, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, I work the wheel a lot, right? My hands are always around. I'm grabbing different parts of the steering wheel. And I make driving videos all the time. You guys can see my hand placement. In this car, I'm kind of limited to my hands here, are on the bottom, or here on the side. So there's like maybe 3 or 4 positions, and I can't smoothly transfer between them. And so for me, just from a experience of a touch point of working with the car, a round wheel will make all the difference, in my opinion. I'm not of the camp where I actually think this is dangerous when you get used to it. I actually think it's fine. But from what I'm looking for out of the car, I just much prefer the round wheel. So my friend Ryan, I think he's on vacation. I don't know what he's doing, but Ryan, if you're watching this, we need that round wheel in the stocks as soon as possible. People are asking for the videos. Let's get this thing done. I can't wait to get it installed. And then, really what else left is there? There's wheel and tire package, which going to the square setup changed the entire balance of the car, and much more to my liking. Just from a fun perspective, the car is so much more tossable and fun. When you get to outright performance, it still may make sense to not run square, although, yeah, I'd probably run square even for like a time attack car or something like that, but I'd go with even wider wheels and tires. But then of course, to run any wider than we are right now, you get into some suspension modifications. And honestly, I think that's what's next for this car. Of course, as you upgrade grip levels, as you upgrade braking, you start deferring the weak link down the line, and then I go crazy and I'm like, oh well, the bushings are all really soft, and like maybe we can like do some upgrades there. So perhaps we'll have to give Mountain Pass a call and try out some of their new suspension upgrades for the Model S, because I think that would be really the next level. And then from a braking perspective, I didn't even drive the car hard on stock brakes. I refused to. I just was like, this thing has the worst brake pedal feel. You get one stop out of it. ABS was doing wonky stuff on the stock brakes, and I was like, this is just not it, and they need to go. And then I looked at my options. There was the Unplugged Performance Carbon Kit. Tesla, of course, has their Track Pack Carbon Kit, and Mountain Pass was the only ones offering a big steel upgrade. And for the way, like I mentioned in the beginning, I burn up carbon discs the way I drive, because I'm pretty hard on brakes on track especially. I just felt most comfortable going with a steel setup, and it was significantly cheaper. And in my impression, this is just night and day difference. So actually, let's probably go into track mode just for a back road blast. Again, I don't recommend doing it on the street, more or less, but we're just gonna go here, and we're gonna go to a I would say a pretty good setup, which is like 30-70 with this wheel and tire package. I have it set to stability assist all the way to the left. Pre-cooling's coming on, brake temperatures are up, and we're not going to go crazy hard because it's a Saturday and people are out on the street. I really want stocks. So yeah, let's just accelerate through here on the straightaway. Just, you can see, just struggling for traction, even with the 295 section PS4S's front and rear. The powertrain is truly, truly insane. So there's, again, 2 more brake upgrades left to do, which would be the brake lines and the brake booster brace. But honestly, just coming in here and getting a nice warm-up stab into the brakes, wow, just insanely different from stock. Insanely different. We have immediate bite as soon as I hit the brake pedal. It's just poof, like the anchors are dropped. And then there's so much more braking force. Of course, the stock braking system can get the car into full emergency ABS braking on all 4 wheels and tires, once, maybe twice, depending on the speed. Here, we were able to go out for 15-minute track lap sessions, and yeah, we'd get the little warning that the brake temperatures were getting high, but it still felt good, and it was still going just fine. And again, we put higher temperature brake fluid in to handle those abuse loads. So cannot recommend this upgrade enough if you're getting a Model S. I mean, any brake upgrade will help. I'm not going to tell you which one to go for. I'm really pleased with the Mountain Pass upgrade that I did. I also should mention the pad that we went with a Carbo Tech sort of, not necessarily their full track pad, but one back. And I'll leave in the description the exact part numbers to the pad that we went with. But I'm pretty pleased with them because they're really quiet. You can hear no high-pitched race pad squeal, and it required them to get bedded in, because when I first put them on the car, it was really noisy, and I'm like, oh no, we ruined the daily drivability with all the squeaks and stuff. Then we pounded them on track, bed in the brakes first, then pounded it around track, and they got super dead quiet instantly. So I'm a big fan of that. You do feel the slots in the rotors, of course, like any slotted braking system that's effective. You're going to feel it grab from time to time. But what's just really impressive is just the immediacy of the brakes. I mean, it's just woof, and it just holds you right back. So let's let traffic clear. Maybe we'll drive quickly on the downhill, but wanted to let you know a little bit about my impressions of the car, how it's set up from a handling perspective. Couldn't be happier with the upgrades so far. And then, I'll let you know what I'm really looking forward to upgrading next. There's a few things left on the list, but really starting to fall in love with the Model S Plaid from a handling perspective, which is the exact opposite review that I gave it a year ago on this exact road, where I was like, it's an American muscle car. It only goes fast in a straight line, and it wouldn't give you any power in corners, wouldn't like to turn, didn't like to stop. We're starting to work on all of these issues here, and I'm just very impressed with it all around. So, of course, just as we go up the road a little bit, there's snow, there's ice, there's some things we don't really want to mess around with. So we'll go for a quick blast just down here, just letting traffic clear a little bit. Just so impressed thinking about what this car is capable of. Out of the box, honestly, not much. It goes fast in a straight line, and that's about it. But when you start upgrading braking performance, tire performance, steering wheel, when that comes, then it starts to become, a really serious package. And of course, at a incredible price point for the acceleration, still think it's a great deal. Here we are coming under brakes, much better braking feel. You can see a little bit of rotation coming in there. Just so easy just to balance the car right on the edge coming out of corners with this wheel and tire setup. It's not snappy, it's not scary. The acceleration is crazy. We're really honking on the brakes through here. Just an incredibly fast machine, and tires are cold and everything. But I love how aggressive that square setup is, where it's like the front turns. It's not an understeering car at all. You need to be on your game. This is very much a oversteering, quite car, at least when the tires are cold. So, and it's just such capable of such speed. So I know I sound like a Tesla fanboy at times, right? I'm trying to be objective about the company. I think I am objective about the company. Half the people think I hate Tesla, half the people think I love Tesla. I of course own this car because I think it's important that we cover Tesla. Tesla of course doesn't loan cars out to media organizations, which is one of the reasons I bought this car for comparisons, because it's such an important car in the grand scheme of automotive in general. It's so impressive, but in my opinion, it did require some serious upgrades out of the box to A, make it safe, and to B, make it more fun. I still wouldn't say it's that fun out of the box, but it's certainly capable. If you want to win some races, you get a Model S Plaid, that's for sure. Coming out of here, a little bit of throttle application. You just stab the throttle, a little bit of rotation, and boom, front axle kicks in, and it freaking boogies. Just crazy. Now we are leaning on the brakes. You got to brake early in this thing no matter what, just because the speed that it gets put on is really mind-warpingly fast, and track mode changes the entire character of the car on a back road. Look at that, just little rotations, keeping it right on the edge through there. Of course, we're still dealing with a lot of other vehicles around. So I think that's it for the shredding portion, but 1.2 G's under braking on a cold surface with PS4S's. Pretty intense stuff. Brakes still feel brand new. We didn't even get them slightly warm in this case. Again, taking it to the track day was something I would never do on the stock brakes. So pads, rotors, fluid makes all the difference in the world here. Wheels and tires, a whole other difference in terms of chassis performance, and more to come from a suspension standpoint, because it still feels a little bit soft and I'm like, oh man, now we're going down the rabbit hole of modifying it. But I gotta see what's possible. I need to see what this chassis is capable of doing, because this thing's 12 or 13 years old now, and it's incredible that it can feel this good. And honestly, it's all down to software. It is track mode, the way that when you get it dialed in properly, when you get the proper wheels and tires, can maximize what an older platform can do that may not have been naturally set up from what it can do. But we're doing 1G in corners, over 1G of acceleration, significantly over 1G of braking. Just mind-blowing stuff. I mean, it hurts your brain. I think we need to get a set of R compounds on this thing stat for the next track day, though. We do need some slicks. But then by then we need to upgrade the suspension to handle the G load of the slicks, because we'll just max out all the bushings in there. So I can't thank you enough for watching another out of spec reviews video. Let me know if you like these types of upgrade things on the Plaid. I think going forwards, they're going to be on my personal channel, Kyle Connor. But I think it's such an important situation that Plaid owners upgrade their brakes with something from a safety standpoint. I really think that it's a no-brainer. Whether you want to stick with Tesla's upgrade or go with an aftermarket solution is up to you. I'm very pleased with my purchase, going with the front and rear kit. It really hunkers down on both axles. I'm very pleased. Just to give you a full braking application, just right in there. Great ABS feedback in the pedal, of course, and we're on a wet, slick surface. So couldn't be happier. And next upgrades, let me tell you what I'd like that would make the car perfect, in my opinion. Obviously, the round wheel can't come soon enough. The stalks can't come soon enough. The driver's seat is nowhere near as good as the Model 3 seat. I don't know if there's a way that I can remove some of the brackets under here, but I need this thing like 6 inches lower. So if anyone knows of a way to lower the driver's seat, let me know, because I really feel like I'm sitting on top of the car up here. And honestly, once we finish up the braking situation, maybe we tighten up the suspension a little bit and we get some stickier tires on for just track use, and then I'll probably run these for daily driving. I think we have ourselves a very much a incredibly widespread capability car. We have a car that can go out and keep up with some incredible cars on track. Cornering's always going to be tough because it's heavy, but no question, down straightaways, in braking zones, this thing's going to be a monster. And then in terms of a GT cruiser, well, you have the best charging network. We had 1.5G of braking there. You have the best charging network in the business. You then have the CCS adapter that can give you full speed CCS charging anywhere, and you have CHAdeMO charging, so you can charge it wherever you go. You have incredible range, incredible driver assistance, and you can go straight up a track. I mean, I consider, you know, I have a Taycan in order to replace this car, and that's going to happen at some point whenever that car comes in. And I got this to hold me over, but I've been thinking, oh, maybe I should just get a Taycan in stock or something. You know, especially after the accident, I was thinking maybe I would sell the Plaid and just move on. But no, I think it's time to tell this car's story and to really figure out what it's capable of doing. So stay tuned for more track days. We're going to get it out a bunch. We're going to be using this thing for what it's intended for, and just can't wait to continue the build process on the car until we get it fully dialed in the way I want it. And then probably like the day after we get it perfect is when the Taycan will be ready and I'll have to sell this. The way things go. Thanks so much for watching. See you in another video soon. Bye-bye.